Hello, I'm FX Toycat, and Minecraft just released a new 1.21 preview and snapshot, and this includes in it the trial chambers. This is one of the biggest structures they've ever added to the game, and despite its enormous size, it's much more common than you might otherwise think. It also includes a lot more trial spawners with a lot more mob variants than you probably imagined, and despite adding the trial key and giving us a name for it, it leaves us with far more questions than we had before. What exactly is inside this 1.21 snapshot and preview? Let's go into that today. And let's obviously start with the Bedrock edition I mostly cover on this channel, because there is a brand new preview, but it doesn't include the trial chambers, or the trial spawners, or the trial key, or the breeze, and instead has just 3 lines on the item bug fix. There is the armor trims not rendering in. It also fixed a potential world crash, and bizarrely enough has the ability to open a Minecraft realm from a URL directly. Very, very strange stuff if you ask me, but yeah, the rest of this snapshot is not available in there, and so this trial chambers was just lazily converted over, and so if we want to show off the rest of the update, we have to jump over to the Java edition, because on the version of the game which only has medium salmon and a very questionable ocelot skin, we have the real deal trial chambers and not the one that your mother says we have at home. And indeed, interestingly enough, in this update we've got the breeze to show off, we've got the trial spawners, they come in so many variants, 10 of them if you'll believe it, we've got the trial key for the first time, and we've also got, interestingly, it's going to be my first ever survival experience going into one of these. I'm not just going to be showing you it's creative and swearing it's the same thing. It's going to be a lot of fun today, and let's go into exactly what is happening with, at first, I think the trial chambers. By the way, have you considered subscribing to stay up to date with the latest and greatest in Minecraft news, including the latest snapshots and previews, and I swear I cover previews in more depth than 20 seconds when they have more going on. But yeah, with that said, let's talk about what is going on here today, because it's very snowy in here. Now, the trial chambers alone, with its epic size, is single-handedly carrying this update in terms of excitement, in my personal opinion. However, for many people, you're not going to just be excited at seeing the size of the structure and the layout and the complexity of it, but instead you're going to ask the question, what value would I get from a trial, chambers? Why do I personally even want to go here? And besides saying, well, of course there's incredible loot, this is subject to change, it might get better or worse, besides saying there's loot, which you can find in basically every structure, what reason do you have to come here? And the answer is the trial spawner, a brand new type of mob spawner that is exclusive to this structure, and honestly, although it has similarities of the mob spawner, you need to think of it as an entirely different thing, because it is wildly different. This is a monster spawner, which as you can see, only spawn mobs because I removed the lighting from it. If it is covered with a torch, it will not spawn mobs any further. It also, interestingly, will spawn mobs anywhere in its allowable radius, and also will keep on spawning mobs up until it reaches the spawn cap. This is in stark contrast to the types of spawner that you'll find in the trial chambers, and so to show you that, I've very handily found a monster spawner, which happens to be right next to one of these, so you might be tunneling underground when you find yourself with a bunch of tough bricks, and if you were to go through those, you might find a trial spawner. So these trial spawners can spawn with spiders, as you can see, which is very much the same as a regular monster spawner. Is this? Okay, this is very wild to see, and you can also see that unlike a regular monster spawner, it's not based on interval, and it's not going to go up to a maximum number, but instead there is a large number of spiders that are designed to spawn from that thing, and they're going to keep on spawning until you have killed the maximum number. The maximum number is going to vary right now just based on the number of players that are currently within radius of the spawner, but once you do so, it will spit out a reward, and then the corners will go from being copper and orange from before to instead being kind of put out. This will then start a cooldown timer, and so in 30 minutes of in-game time, you'll be able to fight this thing again, but in the meantime, it does precisely nothing. Oh, also, I've killed enough for this one, and my reward was glowberries. You know, I do have to say, not a very rewarding trial chambers in terms of the spawners, but you find these spawners all over the structure, so you can see there's 3 just in this first room we happen to dig into, and I'm betting there's going to be more elsewhere, and so this is going to be one of your major sources of loot. The other source of loot is, of course, going to be chests, where I can downgrade my shield to a lovely one like this, and I can also, fight myself more spiders to get more great loot. So an interesting thing about the trial spawners is even once they've settled down and there's no mobs around them, breaking them is designed to be incredibly hard. They basically put it in a way of like, please don't mine these. If you really absolutely had to, you technically would be able. It is designed presumably so that if you really wanted to make a base that went through a trial chambers, you could remove the spawners, but even with an efficiency 5 netherite pickaxe, it takes such a long amount of time that even if you had a base you wanted to bring through here, you would consider rebooting it just to avoid breaking this thing, because it's functionally unbreakable. And so, yeah, the basic idea is meant to be that you would not break break these, if you have Silk Touch on your pickaxe and you're willing to wait minutes, you still won't get one back, because the goal is that they exist and they're parts of the world, and you sit and you wait until another one spawns. That's just the behavior that it has. And so, yeah, this is the main reason to come to a trial chambers, on top of the loot, obviously, and they can give you very interesting forms of loot. To give you an example of this, if we go into a chest here, this gives me some very standard stuff that you're probably used to seeing in your Minecraft world. But if we go over to the spider place, by the way, I love that this room is basically designed to make spiders annoying, as annoying as possible, because they can walk under these crates, but you can't walk to them, making it very tricky for you to spawn camp the places you might like to do. And indeed, you better believe that I do. And yeah, the spiders walking under there is just a little bit annoying to me, but that's fine. You can do your own thing, spiders. You can live your own life. Actually, I might have to kill him just to get the spawner to say it's done. Nope. Okay, yeah, that was it. And it pops out one of these brand new trial keys, a brand new part of this update, which I feel like Mojang couldn't have added in a more confusing way, although, again, basically admitting that they're letting the community theorycraft on it. But before we dive into the mystery of the trial key, which has just 2 lines on the changelog, by the way, I think it's worth mentioning that you can find trial spawners in more varieties than just the spider. In fact, 9 more varieties. Here is a full list of them. Wow, the breeze is very expected, the slime is expected, and so is the stray. But seeing things like skeleton on there, I think spider was a surprising one to a lot of people, but even skeleton with poison arrows, they are deliberately trying to make these extra challenging. And yeah, it's worth mentioning that you can totally just jump past them if you really want to as you're going around the place. However, probably not the idea I'd recommend. Also, did I lose my diamond sword forever? Is that what just happened there? Anyway, 10 separate mobs is absolutely fascinating in my opinion, because that can mean you get trial chambers which get very sticky. There are spiders, zombies, and skeletons all fighting me at the same time right now, and several of, lots of each of these will be spawning, to the point where even if you have diamond armor on, as I do, you might find yourself requiring some emergency heal items like a potion or a golden apple, or even indeed just very heavily enchanted equipment, because otherwise you will run into issues very, very quickly. Each of these chamber rooms effectively operates as a bunch of individual spawners, but when they come on together, they become a very big challenge, and that is a challenge I can't help but be compelled by, but also, which so far is very different to anything else in Minecraft that you're probably prepared for, so let's go for it. Yeah, you weren't expecting that. Bow on bow action. Anyway, so the important thing to say is that the reward you get for taking on the trial spawner is very variable, and so some very interesting things will happen as you do this. So just to show you another trial spawner, so far I got what? I got some emeralds, and I got the trial key. If I show you what happens when I take down this husk spawner, which has been a nightmare so far, I think we can all agree, then something very interesting will come out of it. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, we just got emeralds on that one too, because the game is trying to use emeralds very much as a currency, but the loot table is very, very minor. You get some very, very, very minor loot, with the exception being the trial key, one of the best things you can find in here. And yeah, I think, you know, actually, rather than doing the whole like, oh yeah, just wait till later to learn about the trial key, so far, what Mojang have said about the trial key is very, very simple. The trial key is an item that can only be obtained from trial spawners, and the trial keys do not currently have any functionality. The guessing game continues for at least another week, and presumably even more. What is the value of this trial key? The biggest reward for taking down the trial spawner? We don't know, but the value of just taking down a bunch of mobs and getting emeralds and loot does still remain, but and indeed, the trial spawner as the way of getting it seems to be very well developed, and indeed, outside of getting yourself some baby zombies or silverfish spawners, hopefully the way you do it will be worth the result, but that is something we're going to have to wait and see. But for first things first, I feel like we've spoken about all the mobs on the big list of trial chambers ones, but not the breeze yet, so let's move into him real quick. Let's breeze on over there. Let's chill. Let's breeze through the details of and so let's breeze through his details very quickly. So this right here is our new friend, the Breeze, who's very cute and doesn't believe in having arrows shot at him because he can magically deflect them because he's a Breeze and he does that. He is an aggressive adversary, and in case you're curious about how he is compared to the Blaze, who he often gets compared to, well, the Blaze has 20 health points while the Breeze has 30. The Blaze does have a weakness to long-range attacks like the Breeze sort of does. However, the Breeze is never going to be found at those long ranges, and so the Blaze is definitely easier to take down. The Blaze has the ability to slowly hover drop when it sees players, whereas the Breeze can do a quick compression and jump up to 5 blocks vertically and up to 15 blocks horizontally. This means that even if you fight him in incredibly favorable circumstances, like this clear open air platform, or rather it's a trial chambers, but if we happen to fight him right here, we are going to go in through some very challenging times. You will need to be very ready for this because it is deliberately designed to be super challenging before you even consider that he is able to set off traps for you, and the trial chambers are specifically designed around that. So he obviously does all of the redstone things we already knew about, but he also will ring bells, and get this is the most terrifying thing yet. If you have any lit candles, he will extinguish them, which is ridiculous but also fun to see. Will the Breeze be updated though is an interesting question. Will we have more features to come? It seems like the answer is yes, because he doesn't currently have a dedicated drop, and this is something that most hostile mobs tend to have, and it could just be the whole point is he's challenging with no real reward, but that's something I think we're going to have to wait and see. Speaking and indeed, because this first snapshot does have quite a few bugs of it. The whole point of snapshots is to iterate in game design, and so in future snapshots we'll see them do more fun things, because the trial chambers, for example, have bugs that they specifically know about, with corridors leading into a dead end and aquifers, lush caves and sculk veins sometimes intersecting with the trial chambers. These are issues they'd like to fix, and so indeed, if you look at the trial chambers as a whole, you can see that this is a massive structure that will take a lot of time to get right. And when I say massive, I might actually be underselling the trial chambers, because this thing is actually enormous. I mean, looking at it with none of the blocks around, you might say like, okay, this looks like a reasonably sized Minecraft build, but to show you something fun, there is a command you can only do on Java, which we're going to use today. It is called the /place command. We can place a trial chambers right around us, and as you can see looking at this, it is of variable size, and also it's made up of variable rooms. So this trial chambers here is different to the trial chambers we've just placed next to it, and this is because each of the rooms is basically procedurally generated. This is something that we've seen before with the abandoned mineshaft, but even then not really. The stronghold is the closest thing we have to this, and maybe the Woodland Mansion, but this is a whole nother level appearing below the ground. And fun fact, appearing below the ground quite frequently. Mojang themselves say these are relatively common, which is a really fun understatement. What, is there a chicken that spawned here? How did that possibly happen? Anyway, Mojang themselves will say you will be finding these frequently, and to give you an idea of how frequently that is, I think you might oversell it and say, yeah, if you dig underground, you basically can't miss these. I would say it's more like in the same radius you'll find a stronghold in your world, you'll probably find one of these. But to show you how, let's drink a night vision potion, let's go into spectator, and let's show you first of all that these do just generate into random caves. Unlike unlike the strongholds, which try to kind of hide themselves, the trial spawners are very, very open, and so while digging around, even if you come close to one of these, you might just notice it from more than the noises. They do spawn very, very deep in your world, always in the deep state layers, as best I can tell. But if we go in a random direction, in a random speed, count the number of structures that we find. I found one abandoned mineshaft, which was just above me right there. I'm going to go through this very large lush cave through here, and then I'm going to keep on going until we find other structures of other types. That's 2 abandoned mineshafts, that's 3 abandoned mineshafts, and that is a trial chambers right over here. So as you can see, abandoned mineshafts, which I feel like they're everywhere, can be about 3 times as common as this, which is wild for a structure with such a high reward. Also, look at this right here. It is spawning so exposed into so many structures. Something I hope they don't change, but I think they might just. Again, this is an early version of it, but this is a wildly sized one too. It's not just a basic one. They always seem to have some minimum size, and that minimum size is really ripe for adventure, ripe for exploration, and this is something that I love to see them doing with the caves, something that I think really would have been a really great part of any cave update if one was happening at some point. But anyway, with that said, yeah, it is worth saying they are not as common as you might imagine. I feel like early on in the snapshot's life cycle, people start finding them everywhere and saying, wow, you can't not find these, but literally, even when you're below ground with a magic fly vision where you can see through walls, you still don't see them everywhere. You still will find substantially more abandoned mineshafts. However, they are more common than the strongholds, and they are more common than the ancient cities, as you can prove from the fact that we're running through one of those right now. However, right at the end of that ancient city is a second trial chamber, and like mentioned, one of the bugs that they're trying to fix is having it covered in skulk. I personally love this. I love when you get different character that exists around here. It's probably not ideal to have skulk catalysts, but skulk veins spawning of this place really remind you that you're in a ancient city, rather in a deep dark biome. And personally, I think that's a good thing. I think when the biomes and the structures come together and make more interesting results, that's emergent gameplay. At least that's emergent structure structure design, and so it means that you get very different structures just based on where they spawn. Maybe they could, you know, make it so it's less obtrusive and less annoying, but personally, I think this is a really fun addition. However, experiencing things from spectator mode is no way to actually tell what a biome is like. Let's go into a real survival world and see what the Trial Chambers is like as an early game player. I really worry that I'm going to get wrecked, and maybe I'm spending too much time by checking this out in survival, but this is a real way to look at an update. This is a real way to see what's going on with the structure, and so let's do this right now. I've spawned next to a dog and also a tree, which means everyone's favorite thing gets to happen now. Now we just go underground to a place I know has a Trial Chambers, and we see what it's really like to experience this structure. Oh god, there's an abandoned mineshaft here too. I am not ready to deal with cave spiders. Is anyone ever ready to deal with cave spiders? Or do we just sometimes have to do it anyway? Thank God this is easy difficulty, huh? There are some people who would say digging straight down is a bad idea, and even more who would say it's definitely an extra bad idea when you're trying to go into a big challenging structure, but the point is, could you go right into a Trial Chambers and actually benefit from it? And this is the very loose version of that, which I'm gonna be having some fun with now. Oh, we're already in the structure. Was not expecting it that soon. Okay, here we are. That is already a... okay, so we just have to immediately place some blocks. Oh, I can't place them in front of myself, like it's Bedrock. Oh, why are you like this, Java? So I have to sit here and wait and eat. And then from there, once I have a full health bar, maybe I'll deal with the skeletons. Or I could go find some stuff in that chest over there. Yeah, that seems like a good idea to me, right? Just bridge our way over in such a way that I don't even need to care. Okay, give me what's in there. Oh, I can't open the chest from this high up. That feels incorrect to me, but that's fine. We'll place a block, one block lower down. Oh no, I made it so the skeleton could get up here. This is my worst idea. Okay, there we go. Oh yeah, immediately we have iron tools, which, you know, you probably should have had before coming in here, but it's still nice to see, right? This is slightly lower attack damage, but slightly more attack speed than my current weapon. So maybe we should just go for it. Maybe that's the name of the game. If you don't know Java Combat anyway, why play by its rules? Okay, let's go for it. Let's go. Oh, no you don't, friend. You can't do this to me. You can't hurt me anymore because I've got a sword and oh, no. Okay, I'm getting hurt anymore. Oh, no. I didn't know you'd be in here, friend. Okay, this is... Okay, let's just get out of there. Let's run. As you can see, I am technically surviving a Trial Chambers, despite this being a very dire situation. No. Okay, let's just get our way out of that. And let's hope that this is a safe room. Actually, wait, is that an amethyst geode I see right there? Oh, that's fun, huh? Oh, that's really fun. It takes me through to the next room where I can find a chest. That's a wooden axe that is not very useful for my current situation. What's in here? Oh, we got all sorts of great enchantments that I can't take. Going into one of these places is going to give you so much loot, by the way, but also, oh, trial key, heck yeah. But also it's, isn't that weird? It said it could exclusively be obtained from trial spawners, but I found one in that chest. An exciting thing about this structure really is how challenging it is for early to mid-game players, but it really will also wreck you. But sometimes you get wrecked in a way that you don't entirely expect or understand. That was a lot of fun though. I think I'll be doing that again. In fact, I think for my stream tomorrow, instead of doing what I was going to, it'd be much more fun to try one of these trial spawners and see if we actually can do it as an early game structure in its current form, because to me, that is the fun of Minecraft, to go in there with all the odds stacked against me and see if I can win against it anyway. So yeah, make sure you, I'll leave a link to that live stream in the description. But for now, that was my first experience. You will get wrecked is the key message. And so what else is there that you need to know about the Trial Chambers? There are 3 big takeaways I have from my time with the Trial Chamber today, because after going through my first time in the pure survival context, I decided to go back and do some more fighting, and it is incredibly hard. That is the first key point that has to be said. These are one of the hardest structures Minecraft have put in the game, which is a good thing. I like that every structure they add feels like it's more challenging than the last in some ways, because the Minecraft player base is always improving, and so making something that might wreck a new player is totally fine, because they can always come back later, or they can learn for that challenge and it will make them a better player. Big thumbs up to the idea of Minecraft actually adding a hard structure. I got so badly wrecked by the combination of poison skeletons and breezes, and the procedural generation makes that really fun. The second thing is, so far it seems like there's an absurd number of rooms for this thing. Seriously, I want to go through and actually catalog each and every room. That might take some serious time, but it's something I would love to do, because seriously, they are all over the place, and every trial trial chambers has the same feeling as the previous ones, while still definitely being quite different. And so once you add in the number of different spawners and the number of rooms, every single trial spawner is unique, a very good Minecraft plus. But the third most important thing is it's clear there needs to be some unique reason to come here. I think if it existed in its current form, it'd be a fine Minecraft structure on the level of the abandoned mineshaft, but I think they're clearly building it out to be more, and so there's one of two things they could clearly do. One of these is give the breeze some drop. We call it a breeze rod, but whatever you want to call it, like a breeze unique drop because it's a hostile mob. This is one of the great paths they could follow, but the second is this trial key. Now, here's something interesting about the trial key you might not have thought about. Mojang adds all sorts of features all the time, right? But this is a feature they've added with no use. And so, besides just having the texture in the game, there's only, that Mojang is very careful about adding things to snapshots that they can't later remove. Why would you add something to a snapshot if there's any chance of you removing it and it already does nothing? This tells me it's so important that it's locked into their overall plan, or at least a very heavy, feature in most of them, and this gets me incredibly excited. And so that is something that I would love to know about. Personally, I could spend all day theorizing, but I do think they have some grand, exciting purpose, but also with the commonality of where they are right now, it's something that you won't just do once. So the idea of opening up an ancient city portal is a really fun one, but realistically, there are more trial keys than ancient city portals, and so, as much as people love that, or they love the idea of it being some way to open doors within the structure, I think it's got to be something more than either of those two things. And so what is it? Is it going to open some new area that is otherwise locked off? Is it going to just open some rarer, more important chests to give even better loot to the structure? This is something that we do not know yet, but I'd love to hear your theories in the comments down below. I'd also love to know what you think about my haircut, because you're going to tell me anyway, whether or not I asked you to or not. It's one of the shorter haircuts I've ever had. Look at me, how crazy this is. I did it so I could specifically not get my haircut for a while, and it would slowly grow back to where it was before. But also what you can do is you can go click the link in the description to see my newest live stream. I think it's currently called Minecraft, but the Minecraft is Minecraft until I Minecraft till the Minecraft isn't Minecraft anymore. But if you want to, the important thing to say is that title will be changing, and it will be happening at a different time tomorrow. So if you want to see a differently timed stream, make sure you check that out. As for what I'm going to be up to, I'm going to go and catalog every single room in the structure because I'm so fascinated by the number of them, and so I hope to see you next time. But for now, I'm going to go eat dinner and spend an absurd number of time in these structures because it's so fun, and I look forward to seeing you for that tomorrow. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Unless I don't. Bye. Hope I was recording. Looks like it was.